Greetings fellow cultivators. Welcome to Audio Nova. Remember to like and subscribe to support the journey. Today, we're diving into the story of what's the point of cultivating immortality if you don't have money. Seeing night sky soar's veins bulging and muscles twitching, Jadestar Chill thought to himself, this mana vein injection is a bit strong. Can even this immortal lord not withstand it? Mentao, on the other side, was also filled with excitement, a hint of anticipation rising in his heart. Night Sky Soar was careless. His eyes gleamed with joy. This mana vein injection hasn't even been sold to the public yet, so he probably hasn't used it before either, right? Who would have thought that this injection would be so potent, that even he can't handle it? But at the next moment, Night Sky Soar, who had been twitching nonstop, revealed a smile at the corner of his mouth. After taking a deep breath, he said with a look of enjoyment, a very high purity of spirit enhancement essence. It's been a long time since I've encountered such a domineering good stuff. Night Sky Soar felt his dantian and meridians highly excited under the stimulation of the spirit enhancement essence. Not only did he not feel the slightest bit uncomfortable, but he even felt a special pleasure of mana surging wildly within his body. Although he had never injected this mana vein injection before, he had long used the spirit enhancement essence within it for cultivation. He was even accustomed to the muscle twitches caused by the spirit enhancement essence, and it could even bring him a bit of pleasure. But today is, after all, an exam, so playing around a little is enough. Night Sky Soar had always been very serious about exams. From childhood to adulthood, whether it was the bloodline test in kindergarten, the parents' test in elementary school, the general knowledge test in junior high school, or other various exams he had experienced since he was a child, Night Sky Soar would always compete for first place in every exam. For him, taking first place in an exam was like a habit, and even more so a respect for Kongshu, for the rules of this world. The path of immortality cannot be separated from one exam after another, one ranking after another. If you want to climb to the peak on the path of immortality, you need to constantly achieve the most outstanding results, pass through layers of assessments, and always stand at the top of the rankings. This is the law of Kongshu, the path to immortality. Night Sky Soar took a deep breath, and the next moment, his flesh and blood, which had been constantly twitching, suddenly stopped, and then swelled up with a bang. Not only were his muscles expanding, but his bones, which had been forcibly contracted in the past, also stretched out, instantly increasing Night Sky Soar's height, suddenly soaring to a full 3.5 meters, and the muscles all over his body were like layers of armor, stacked on his body. Seeing this scene, Mentao was first slightly stunned. He forcibly stretched his muscles and expanded his body. What's the use of that? But at the next moment, looking at the other party's relaxed expression, slowly shaking his hands and feet, stretching his muscles and bones, Mentao suddenly reacted. No, Night Sky Soar is not forcibly expanding his muscles, he is unlocking the restraints on his body. The current body size is his true form. The usual small body size is because he is deliberately suppressing his whole body's muscles and bones. Is maintaining a small body size usually for cultivation? Mentao didn't know the answer, but he knew that Night Sky Soar's strength was far more terrifying than he had originally imagined. At the same body size, he was already no match for the other party, and now he discovered that the other party was even taller and stronger than him. This guy's meat mass is at least twice mine. Mentao sighed inwardly as expected of the guy who was hailed by the Oasis group as the most perfect body in high school. Mentao already believed that he was far inferior to the other party in terms of physical strength alone, and he knew even better that the greater the weight, and the more the meat mass, the stronger the drug resistance must be. However, Mentao soon discovered in shock that this was not Night Sky Soar's limit. Night Sky Soar twisted his body, and the mana in his dantian was lifted, already transformed into longevity mana. Then, along with the body tempering of each movement, the longevity mana began to nourish his body and expel toxins. Spring Autumn Endless Zen Level 10 activated. Spring Autumn Endless Zen? Mentao also recognized this technique, and his eyes were even more shocked. The strongest body, terrifying martial arts aptitude, plus money that can't be spent. All heaven knows how many techniques this guy has learned. I'm afraid that he can take out different techniques to deal with any situation. Mentao sighed inwardly. Apart from Yinjing, probably no high school student in the entire Kongshu first layer can compete with him. Just as Mengtao was sighing in his heart, he discovered that another examinee next to him had stabbed 3 needles into his arm in a row. Seeing the other party focusing on injecting medicine, with a serious expression, Mengtao also immediately came back to his senses. Night Sky Soar was powerful, but no matter how powerful he was, he could only occupy the position of first place. Mengtao thought to himself, I can still compete for second place. Even if I can't compete for second place, it's good to get third, or fourth place, to get extra points. He grabbed the injection from the medicine box and stabbed it fiercely into his neck. Seeing them all start injecting medicine crazily, Jade Starchill thought to himself, they want to grab a second place, or extra points? Looking at Meng Tao's brain gradually bulging, and his skull rising after brain expansion and metabolism, and looking at another person constantly injecting into his muscles, causing his flesh and blood to swell. Jade Starchill felt a chill in his heart. These immortals are injecting medicine like they don't value their lives. If I compete with them like this, my body will definitely be seriously damaged. Thinking of this, Jade Starchill's gaze turned to Zhang Yu, but found that the other party still had a score of 0, and hadn't even injected a single dose of medicine. What is this guy doing? Zhang Yu had been waiting and observing Night Sky Soar's movements, because he had absolute confidence that there was only one opponent in today's Foundation Establishment exam, and that was Night Sky Soar. When he saw Night Sky Soar injecting the mana vein injection, Zhang Yu knew that he also had to choose a 1500 point divine medicine to use. After thinking about it slightly in his mind, Zhang Yu made a decision. Then let's try the imitation phoenix function element first. Not only does this thing look a bit more reliable, but it can also improve my physical strength at the same time. At the same time, the gods were also commenting on Night Sky Soar's performance on the internet. Huang Ziku said, this perfect bloodline is the strongest bloodline in Kongshu first layer. The Night Clan's development is also very well in place. Once the bloodline modification service is officially sold, it will probably immediately occupy a huge market. Another god said, perhaps competing for this Foundation Establishment qualification certificate is a prelude to the Night Clan's publicity for the perfect bloodline. Next year's hype about Night Sky Soar will probably be very strong. Their company's stock should rise a lot. Speaking of this, the gods present all smiled knowingly, and even Deng Bingding, who had always been the most serious, showed a hint of a smile. Huang Ziku continued, Night Sky Soar seems to have already secured first place with this injection. The remaining people can only compete for the subsequent rankings. Another god sighed, this perfect bloodline can strengthen the body, change the body shape, and has extraordinary drug resistance and technique learning ability. The physical track is completely Night Sky Soar's solo performance. What else can others use to compete? The most newest novel is at 6-9 book bar first release. At this moment, Huang Ziku said with a slight surprise, Zhang Yu is going to use the imitation phoenix function element. Can he withstand the side effects of the imitation phoenix function element? At the same time, the other gods present also had this question in their minds, and instantly checked Zhang Yu's relevant data. There has been no progress in the monthly test scores in the past 2 months, and even a slight decline. Based on the level he has shown, he should not be able to withstand the imitation phoenix function element. HMPH, too impulsive, get ready to save him. Just as the gods were thinking this, they saw Zhang Yu, who had swallowed a piece of the imitation phoenix function element, standing still in place, and after a while, swallowed another piece of the imitation phoenix function element. Zhang Yu thought to himself, the burden of this medicine doesn't seem to be as great as they say. The gods were suddenly shocked. What? 2 pieces at once. Is this guy not going to die here? If an examinee dies in the examination hall of the Foundation Establishment exam, it will inevitably be an accident. Deng Bingding, Huang Ziku, and other gods focused their attention on Zhang Yu, and their divine power descended from the air, ready to go, and ready to save people at any time. Some gods cared. Did this guy buy medical insurance? Huang Ziku said helplessly. I took a look, it expired a long time ago. But at the next moment, his eyes moved, and he suddenly said firmly, after all, I was the one who passed the test for this student in the first place. I will take care of the rescue work next, and I will pay for the medical expenses later. Hearing this, the other gods present immediately looked at Huang Ziku with kindness. Deng Bingding also nodded and said, don't forget to record the surveillance video, I will sign your reimbursement form later. Hearing Deng Bingding's words, Huang Ziku was slightly happy in his heart, thinking that he had left a deeper impression in Lord Deng's heart this time. On the other side, after Zhang Yu swallowed 2 pieces of the imitation phoenix function element, in a row, he felt a stream of heat coming from his stomach, like streams of flames surging towards his limbs and bones. At the same time, with the effect of the medicine, Zhang Yu also felt bursts of abdominal pain in his stomach, as if a big hand was stirring back and forth in his stomach. The side effects of 2 imitation phoenix function elements are indeed much stronger. But I feel my body can withstand it. After sensing the changes in his body slightly, Zhang Yu also seized the time, taking advantage of the surging power of the medicine, and began to cultivate the spring autumn endless zen. Unlike Night Sky's Soar, whose mana and physical strength had already reached level 10, and who used spring autumn endless zen purely to detoxify and purify his physique, Zhang Yu's physical strength is now level 9.89. After taking 2 pieces of the imitation phoenix function element, he is about to use the fierce medicinal power within to improve his physical strength. He twisted his body, operated the longevity mana, and allowed his muscles and internal organs to be continuously nourished and purified in the reincarnation of spring and autumn. Zhang Yu could feel that with the cultivation of the spring and autumn endless zen, not only was his body being strengthened, but the abdominal pain that had just come from his stomach was also gradually disappearing. And the zen character on his chest was becoming increasingly dark as it absorbed the medicinal toxins. It was during this process that Zhang Yu gradually realized something, realizing the value of the high school holy body. Or rather, he had underestimated the effect of the high school holy body before. After I activated the spring and autumn endless zen, although it nourishes my body, enhances its strength, and gathers medicinal toxins, but Zhang Yu compared the differences before and after activating the technique in his heart, and thought to himself there doesn't seem to be any improvement in the ability to metabolize drugs. Spring and autumn endless zen doesn't improve drug metabolism. Zhang Yu could only think of 2 possibilities for this effect. One is that the spring and autumn endless zen cannot metabolize the imitation phoenix functional elements. The other possibility is that before running the spring and autumn endless zen, his drug metabolism ability had already been raised to the limit, a limit that could not be improved. And the spring and autumn endless zen can gather the medicinal toxins in it, indicating that the first possibility is not valid. Then there is only the second possibility. The effect of the high school holy body flashed through Zhang Yu's mind. Drug load, absorption, and metabolism abilities are increased to the peak of ki refining. There can be many interpretations of the peak of the ki refining stage. Some mortals call the level of high school graduates the peak of the ki refining stage, others call the level 10 years after high school graduation the peak of the ki refining stage, and still others believe that university graduates, who have not established a foundation, are the peak of ki refining. And the original Zhang Yu thought that this peak of ki refining referred to a vague range, similar to the level many years after high school graduation. But now it seems this peak of ki refining is it saying that my drug load, absorption, and metabolism abilities have been raised to the limit of the ki refining stage? Is it because it is the limit of the ki refining stage that there is no effect even after running the spring and autumn endless zen? That is to say, even if I don't run the spring and autumn endless zen, is my drug metabolism ability in a normal state at the limit level of the ki refining stage? Why didn't I notice this before? Zhang Yu thought, and then he knew why I took to few and to ordinary medicines some time ago. The medicinal properties were insufficient, and they would be easily absorbed and metabolized, so I couldn't detect the difference at all. The medicinal properties of this imitation phoenix functional element are strong and surging enough to make me realize the value of the high school holy body. At this moment, an unparalleled confidence surged in Zhang Yu's heart. No matter how powerful number 23's immortal capital lord is, he is still a high school student. As long as his drug metabolism ability has not reached the limit of the ki refining stage, then I will win this exam. In that instant, Zhang Yu secretly sighed in his heart. Where is the high school holy body? A high school holy body. It should simply be called the ki refining holy body. Thinking of this, he seized the time to practice the spring and autumn endless zen, his whole body of flesh and blood exuding surging power, constantly tempering his muscles, bones, and internal organs, and then nourishing them with the longevity magic. Although without running the spring and autumn endless zen, he would be able to absorb and metabolize the imitation phoenix functional elements with his high school holy body, how could Zhang Yu let go of the opportunity to take such precious medicine? for free to temper his body and improve his physical strength. And the gods were all slightly stunned when they saw Xiong Yu taking the medicine and becoming vigorous, punching and kicking out bursts of booming sounds. One of the gods said Xiong Yu has withstood to imitation, phoenix, functional, elements, in one breath. It's impossible based on his grades. At the same time, the other gods also read the data transmitted from the detection patch. Huang Ziku said his current physical data definitely exceeds his monthly exam results. This kid hid his strength in the monthly exam. Hiding his strength in the monthly exam? The gods were slightly stunned when they heard this, but the next moment, a look of understanding appeared in their eyes. Although it sounds like hiding one's strength in the monthly exam, in a place where grades are supreme and scores are king seems impossible, in high school. But the gods on the scene had all seen storms, and knew that there were many situations, in the first layer of Kongshu, that would force students to hide their strength. Especially when the student is a poor person, then hiding their strength, deliberately getting low scores, reducing their presence, and not attracting the attention of the rich, that's not a rare thing. As for how to hide it, there are many ways. Some poor students deliberately injure themselves, some poor students take medicines with huge side effects to reduce their strength, and some practice certain techniques that can hide their strength. But this kind of concealment requires a huge price. Either the injury drags down the cultivation, or a lot of time and energy is wasted, and a lot of school benefits and assistance are lost because there are no grades. These will greatly increase the difficulty of the cultivator's cultivation. The students who need to hide their strength are often poor people who are short of money for cultivation. So to be able to reach the level of competing for the high school, foundation, establishment, certificate, under such circumstances. This kind of sudden rise of a poor person, Huang Ziku thought, is it related to the evil god? He repeatedly checked the other party's physical body, data, and various information, and breathed a sigh of relief after finding no problems. However, Huang Ziku glanced at Deng Bingding, thinking that he was too careful and cautious. With this Lord Deng in charge of the overall situation, it was not his turn to discover any evil god believers. At the same time, a god nodded slightly, and commented this son's immortal talent is immeasurable. If he can sign a good teacher after going to the second level, it is not impossible to rush to the fifth level or above in the future. Another god said the key is that he is only a second-year high school student now. He can take another foundation establishment exam next year, and he has already stepped into the threshold of the top 10. This talent is too amazing. As the time came to October, Xiong Yu had officially become a second-year high school student in September. While the gods were discussing these things, Huang Ziku did not interrupt, but recalled his past memories. In fact, he, Huang Ziku, had seen about 5 or 6 similar immortal geniuses rise, and the common characteristics of these people were talent? Talent my ass. Huang Ziku thought to himself, talent is the most basic thing. The most important factor for all poor geniuses to rise is that someone is behind them. You can rise and climb to the peak of immortality just by relying on talent and hard work. Only those mortals who have been repeatedly brainwashed by companies and the media will believe it. Huang Ziku was very clear about this because he had been in charge of education for many years. All the poor geniuses who can rise are either taken in by powerful figures after showing their talents, or their talents themselves come from the layout of powerful figures. The newest novels are first published on Liu Jiao Shibiye. Huang Ziku sighed in his heart, it's not ancient times anymore, how can you get ahead just by relying on your own talent? On the other side, Deng Bingding also did not participate in the discussion, but thought of the results of the last investigation of Zhang Pianpian. I don't know which great god Zhang Pianpian was favored by, and has already ascended to the second level. Zhang Yu's progress is so terrifying it's hard to say that there is a god behind him. After thinking about this, Deng Bingding's first reaction was should he help Zhang Yu? Can he befriend the great god behind him? But remembering his experience after flipping through Zhang Pianpian's information last time, Deng Bingding quickly dismissed the idea. The actions and words of those adults above must have profound meaning. Maybe it is to hide Zhang Yu, or to hone Zhang Yu. I still shouldn't do anything superfluous. However, maybe after today's exam, I can add him as a friend. While the gods were discussing Zhang Yu on the internal network, the other candidates were also surprised by Zhang Yu's performance. Especially Yeling Xiao's eyes suddenly narrowed, and after seeing Zhang Yu take 2 imitation phoenix functional elements in a row, the fighting spirit in his eyes became stronger. He thought to himself, is this your true strength? Sure enough, you hit a lot in the last exam. But I won't lose to you. I am the perfect bloodline that the Ye family has spent countless efforts on, the future main product of the entire company, and is destined to win the Foundation Establishment Certificate. Ye Lingxiao also knew that only by winning the Foundation Establishment Certificate would the family arrange for him to establish a foundation, so that he could break through to the Foundation Establishment realm before entering university, and make the most solid preparations for ascending to the second level, and entering the door of a famous teacher in the future. My immortal path is not just the top 10. Ye Lingxiao picked up a magic power meridian injection and slammed it into his arm. As the injection was pushed into his body, Ye Lingxiao felt his whole body of magic power suddenly running, like gasoline being ignited and constantly exploding. His heartbeat kept accelerating, his breathing became more and more rapid, and his meridians showed signs of slight convulsions under the crazy impact of magic power. Drink. With a low shout, Ye Lingxiao once again activated the level 10, Spring, and Autumn Endless Zen, fully resolving the burden brought by the fierce medicinal power. No problem. Under the blessing of the perfect bloodline, Ye Lingxiao's body was like a whale swimming in the sea, opening its mouth and devouring countless seawater, fish, and shrimp in front of him. Every trace of flesh and blood, every inch of internal organs was frantically swallowing medicinal power, digesting, absorbing, and metabolizing it. In addition to the blessing of the spring and autumn endless Zen, Ye Lingxiao could feel that the surging medicinal power was constantly metabolized by his constant exercise, constantly turning into waste and harmlessly accumulating in his body, and a confident smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Just as Ye Lingxiao felt that the surging medicinal power had crossed the peak, an idea surged in his heart. It shouldn't be a problem to take another shot. Then take another shot, completely widen the gap with him, and make him feel despair. But just as Ye Lingxiao picked up another magic power meridian injection, he caught a glimpse of Zhang Yu walking to his side, directly picking up a magic power meridian injection. Zhang Yu muttered to himself, it's too wasteful to only refine the body, let's improve the magic power by the way. Then, in Ye Lingxiao's surprised eyes, Zhang Yu had already stabbed himself in the arm with a needle. As the needle was pushed into his body, Zhang Yu's body couldn't help but twitch slightly, and then the great sun qi ran violently, like a volcanic eruption, frantically collecting the surrounding spiritual energy. Listening to Audio Nova. As this injection of mana meridian serum was pushed into his body, Zhang Yu could feel that the mana within him, which was already circulating non-stop 24 hours a day, was operating even more fiercely. Under the fierce absorption of the great sun qi, the surrounding spiritual energy surged in like rivers flowing into the sea, eventually transforming into strands of mana within Zhang Yu's dantian. It's a pity I don't have spiritual roots. If I had spiritual roots and was in a spiritual vein, I could have pushed my mana to the limit of qi refining, 100 units today, right? At the same time, Zhang Yu could feel the meridians in his body twitching slightly, his heart accelerating, and his breathing becoming more rapid. Is this a side effect of the mana meridian serum? It's a bit different from the imitation phoenix functional extract. It seems to put more burden on the respiratory and circulatory systems. As expected, different types of drugs place burdens on different parts of the body. So, if I want a higher score, if I want to cultivate more comprehensively during this buffet, then I should take more different types of drugs, making full use of the carrying capacity of different areas of my body. Medicines that act on the Tao heart, mana, and physical strength can all be taken to share the side effects and comprehensively improve my strength. Although he felt another layer of burden added to his body, Zhang Yu did not stop. Instead, he continued to twist his body and practice the spring and autumn endless meditation, constantly improving his physical strength. Because he knew very well that such a free, buffet-style drug opportunity was too rare. There's only 1 hour of buffet time in total. I have to seize the time to cultivate during this hour, and try not to waste the medicinal effects in my body. Thus, under the effects of the great sun qi, and the spring and autumn endless meditation, the medicinal effects of the mana meridian serum, and the imitation phoenix functional extract were fully utilized, continuously improving Zhang Yu's cultivation, efficiency, and accelerating the growth of his mana and physical strength. Knight Lingxiao, who was next to Zhang Yu, watched Zhang Yu inject the mana meridian serum, and followed suit without showing any weakness. Feeling the power of the medicine entering his body, his whole body's blood, meridians, and mana seemed to boil. Knight Lingxiao knew that in a short period of time, his ability to withstand the mana meridian serum had reached a temporary limit. He tried his best to control the muscles all over his body from twitching violently, and thought to himself, then, if I use medicine again, I should choose Tao dissolution slow-release capsules, or imitation, phoenix, functional, extract. After I digest some of the medicinal power in my body. So, in the next few minutes, Knight Lingxiao continued to circulate the spring, an autumn endless meditation, to digest the medicinal power, while thinking about which medicine to take next. But before he could finally make a choice, he saw Zhang Yu on the other side, after a round of digestion, grab another mana meridian serum, and inject it into his body. Knight Lingxiao's eyelids twitched when he saw this scene. This guy. Faced with Zhang Yu's another lead, Knight Lingxiao, the proud son of Xiandu, who had always been number one since childhood and had to dominate every exam, naturally could not accept defeat. He took a deep breath and grabbed a Dou dissolution slow-release capsule from the side, and swallowed it. In an instant, he felt that all the negative emotions in his heart were suppressed, and even the pain caused by those side effects was mostly eliminated at once. Feeling this, Knight Lingxiao was overjoyed. Sure enough, this Dao dissolution slow-release capsule can effectively relieve my anxiety and reduce the mental impact of drug side effects. Taking this medicine first will allow me to perform better in the next exam. But what are the adverse reactions of this medicine? I don't feel anything. Does this medicine have no adverse reactions? But it's unlikely that this medicine has no adverse reactions. So, several minutes later, when Zhang Yu once again injected himself with a mana meridian serum, and took a piece of imitation phoenix functional extract at the same time, Knight Lingxiao directly accompanied him with two Dao dissolution slow-release capsules. The scores of the two also reached as high as 9,000 points, more than half an hour after the exam started. Zhang Yu's mana and body also improved in this process, reaching 97.6 mana and 9.90 level of physical strength respectively, a step closer to the limit of key refining data. Looking at the high scores of the two, the candidates next to them, whether it was Yu Xing'an or Meng Tao, were all shocked. Although they didn't take so many fierce drugs themselves, just thinking about the terrifying medicinal power contained in Zhang Yu and Knight Lingxiao's bodies at this moment made them feel a shock. Meng Tao thought it's only been a little more than half the time, and they've already eaten 6 rounds of magical medicine. Are these two guys' metabolism so much stronger than mine? If today's drug-eating competition is compared to a shit-eating competition, seeing these two, I'm like a dung beetle seeing a septic tank. It's a world of difference. Yu Xing'an even looked deeply at Zhang Yu. This kid is keeping up with the rhythm of the top Xiandu masters. It seems that he also hit his strength when he was selling seeds in the Red Tower. If this guy eats medicine while shipping goods, his output will definitely far exceed mine. At this moment, he saw Zhang Yu grab a dragon elephant preparation and inject it into his body. Knight Lingxiao's eyes narrowed as he watched this scene, and a gleam seemed to flash in them. Dragon elephant preparation? Using dragon elephant preparation to temporarily surpass me? Knight Lingxiao felt as if he had seen an opponent in the auction house who had no balance left but added 100 yuan to surpass him. Is this guy at his limit? And until now, he hasn't taken Dao dissolution slow-release capsules. Is he afraid of the unclear side effects? If that's the case, then I'm going to win this exam. Knight Lingxiao grabbed a Dou dissolution slow-release capsule, a trace of determination flashing in his eyes. Although until now, he still didn't know what the adverse reaction of this Dao dissolution slow-release capsule was, he could discern that his body had not reached its limit. The first will always be me, and can only be me. Standing at the top, always dominating, always seizing the first place, this is not only the concept that Knight Lingxiao has been educated with since childhood, but also the ancestral motto passed down from generation to generation in the Knight family. In this Kongshu, as long as you don't become the first, then no matter whether it is a family or a genius, there will always be a day when you will be eliminated. Thinking of the Knight family's efforts to govern and gradually approach the goal of becoming the strongest family in the first layer of Kongshu, Knight Lingxiao felt a surge in his heart. Especially thinking that after this year's foundation establishment exam, the family will use him after foundation establishment to promote the perfect bloodline. which will also lead to more and more people knowing about the high school foundation establishment exam. This is both an ambition and a confidence. The latest novels are first published on 6/9/2BA. It is only because the Knight family and several other Xiong wealthy families that have joined forces believe that the average wealth and strength of the Xiong wealthy families have far exceeded other local forces in the first layer of Kungshu, and no other local forces can threaten them. The foundation establishment exam no longer needs to be concealed. Instead, the winners of the foundation establishment qualification certificate every year can be used for publicity, adding to the expansion of the company's business and facilitating their penetration into other cities. Thinking that the Knight family is about to break through Xiongdu and begin to expand towards the entire first layer of Kungshu, Knight Lingxiao felt an even stronger sense of heroism after generations of struggle. As the proud son of the Knight family, how can I lose to an outsider here? Knight Lingxiao opened his mouth and swallowed another Dao dissolution, slow release, capsule. On the other side, Zhang Yu had been observing Knight Lingxiao's reaction after taking the Dao dissolution slow release capsule. The reason why he had not taken this medicine was because of the still unclear adverse reaction. But Zhang Yu was not completely giving up on taking this medicine. Instead, he wanted to observe Knight Lingxiao, see Knight Lingxiao's reaction after taking the medicine, and then determine whether he should take this medicine. With my high school holy body, I will definitely surpass Knight Lingxiao in drug metabolism. As long as Knight Lingxiao can hold on, I will definitely be able to hold on. In Zhang Yu's observation, Knight Lingxiao's muscles were swelling and congested, his face was turning purple, and there was a small bump rising on the top of his head. It seems okay, I should be able to handle it. After waiting for a few minutes, Zhang Yu looked at Knight Lingxiao and saw that there was nothing wrong with him, except that the small bump on the top of his head was a little more swollen, and he decided to try this Dao dissolution slow release capsule. Looking at Zhang Yu picking up a Dao dissolution slow release capsule, Knight Lingxiao snorted coldly and said, "You don't give up." He murmured, "I will catch up with you soon. After I eat this imitation phoenix functional extract, you won't be able to catch up with me." Zhang Yu was slightly stunned, looked at the medicine in the other party's hand, and said, "You are holding Dao dissolution slow release capsules, right?" Knight Lingxiao smiled slightly and said, "Eat another Dao dissolution slow release capsule? The side effects of this medicine are indeed very strong, and I can't eat it anymore. But the side effects of this medicine are actually nothing. After I eat this Dao dissolution slow release capsule, I will completely suppress you." Listening to Knight Lingxiao's words, Zhang Yu was immediately shocked. Was the other party speaking human language? Was there a problem with his own understanding, or was there a problem with the other party? Could this be the side effect of Dao dissolution slow release capsules? Could it be a decrease in intelligence? Yu Xing'an, Meng Tao, and others next to him also heard Knight Lingxiao's incoherent speech and looked at Knight Lingxiao with some surprise. It was at this time that Huang Ziku suddenly called a halt to the exam. Huang Ziku said, "Candidate number 23 is currently experiencing some physical problems and needs to pause for 2 minutes." Zhang Yu thought, "Are you going to treat Knight Lingxiao? These righteous gods still have a bit of conscience and are thinking about the health and safety of the candidates." Huang Ziku continued, "Next, all candidates will sign a contract with me to keep confidential the reaction of candidate number 23 after taking Dao dissolution, slow release capsules, and will not disclose any negative information about this product in the future." Damn it. Zhang Yu cursed in his heart. The exam is suspended because you want to keep the side effects of this drug secret for the company? Listening to Huang Ziku's confidentiality requirements, Yu Xing'an mustered his courage and said, "Is there a reward for this contract?" Huang Ziku didn't speak, but his cold gaze swept over, immediately extinguishing all of Yu Xing'an's courage. Huang Ziku thought to himself, "I can't even get a share of the money, and you still want a share?" Just as everyone was signing the contracts one by one, Ye Lingxiao said from the side, "How could I casually reveal what happened during the foundation establishment exam? But I need to discuss this contract signing with my family before I can sign." Deng Bingding twitched the corner of his mouth, glared at him, and said, "Sign it quickly." 2 minutes later, everyone finished signing the confidentiality agreement, and the exam continued. However, due to the excessively strong side effects of the Dao dissolution sustained release capsules, each person was limited to 1 capsule. Zhang Yu simply gave up on the dose dissolution sustained release capsules. Who knows how long this will lower my IQ? What if this junk permanently lowers my IQ? So Zhang Yu simply picked up other medicines that strengthen the Dao heart, at least the ones with more clearly defined adverse reactions, and poured bottle after bottle into his mouth. Just like that, while taking medicine and cultivating, Zhang Yu felt that his Dao heart, mana, and physical strength were all skyrocketing. And his score, which was originally behind Yeling Xiao's, began to steadily catch up as he frantically stuffed himself with medicine. On the other side, Yeling Xiao watched as the opponent's score got closer and closer to his own, so he took 2 more imitation Phoenix functional pills in the space of 10 minutes. At this moment, he looked flushed, his blood vessels were bulging out of his body, as if he were about to explode at any moment, and his internal organs were experiencing waves of colic, as if his stomach and intestines were melting. But what made him feel slightly comforted was that Zhang Yu in front of him had finally stopped. Has he finally reached his limit? Just as he was thinking this, he saw Zhang Yu raise his hand and ask, "Examiner, can I go to the toilet? I feel too full. I want to go to the toilet before continuing to eat." Yu Xingyan was slightly stunned when he heard this fullness. So, amidst the astonished gazes of the crowd, Zhang Yu went to the toilet, then ate another imitation Phoenix functional pill, injected a mana meridian injection, and then picked up can after can of Dao heart-related drugs and drank them down. Yeling Xiao wanted to take another dose of the divine medicine several times to maintain his lead, but feeling the near-limit state of his body, he could only grit his teeth and give up helplessly, watching Zhang Yu's score surpass his own. As the 1-hour medication time ran out, the first half of the physical track of the second round of the Foundation Establishment exam came to an end. Yeling Xiao looked at the current ranking of points, looking at Zhang Yu in first place and himself in second place, and a trace of intense unwillingness emerged in his heart. It's okay. There's still the second half. With my strength, I can catch up in the second half, but with my strength, what if I can't catch up in the second half? With a loud bang, 5 cylindrical tanks rose from the center of the examination hall. Deng Bingding introduced, this tank is called the Sea Stabilizing Pillar. Although it is only 5 meters high overall, the profound nether heavy water inside can simulate pressure from 1 meter to 10,000 meters underwater. Next, it depends on how much pressure you, who have taken the medicine, can withstand with your physical bodies while enduring the side effects of the medicine. Only those with stronger pressure resistance, stronger physical strength, and stronger physical techniques can withstand deeper pressure in this sea stabilizing pillar. The second half of the exam will test this comprehensive physical strength. And today's final score of the second round of the exam will be ranked based on the combined scores of the first and second halves. Everyone, get in the water. Zhang Yu put on an oxygen mask and jumped into the sea stabilizing pillar, his whole body submerged in the profound nether heavy water, and landed directly at the bottom of the sea stabilizing pillar. Even though he was submerged in the water, he couldn't feel any pressure at all, as if the surrounding water was like air. Is this the profound nether heavy water? It's actually as light as air. But the next moment, as the exam officially began, a number appeared on the upper part of the sea stabilizing pillar -1 meter. Zhang Yu suddenly felt a tightening around his body, and the profound nether heavy water, which had just been light and airy, pressed over, surrounding his body like ordinary water. Only the part with the oxygen mask was still unaffected by the profound nether heavy water, providing Zhang Yu with the necessary oxygen. Watching the number on the sea stabilizing pillar constantly change, gradually decreasing from -1 meter to -10 meters, and then decreasing towards -100 meters, Zhang Yu gradually felt the increasingly heavy pressure, coming from all directions, pressing towards his whole body. Zhang Yu glanced at his feather book, and thought, is my current physical strength at level 9.91? That number 23 as a top immortal metropolis young master, probably has a physical strength level of 10. And he may have cultivated more techniques than me, so his control over his body is probably also above me. This game has a bigger advantage for him. I hope this guy's IQ drops low enough for him to make a few major mistakes. No, with my score in the first half, even if I lose this game to him, it's enough for me to be in the top 2 in today's total score, advance to the next round of the Foundation Establishment exam, and compete for the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate. In that case, since I'm sure to pass this round of the Foundation Establishment exam anyway, I might as well take advantage of the current opportunity to become stronger. Compared to temporary victories and defeats, Xiong Yu obviously paid more attention to long-term strength. Thinking of this, Xiong Yu slowly twisted his body in the profound nether heavy water. He planned to take advantage of the fact that the simulated depth was not too low yet, and use the still surging medicinal power in his body to continue cultivating the spring and autumn endless sin, and further strengthen his physical strength. Just as Xiong Yu began to cultivate, the entire examination hall was silent, and all the candidates were silently maintaining their strength and resisting the pressure from within, while immersed in the profound nether heavy water. And at this moment, the expressions of Deng Bingding, Huang Ziku, and other righteous gods all moved slightly. They all saw the changes on another arena. On the martial arts arena. In front of the huge arena. Dai Xingji was slowly moving his hands and feet, doing warm-up exercises while constantly scanning Bai Zhenzhen at the other end of the arena. At the same time, a row of numbers was displayed above their heads respectively. Dai Xingji's was 1 million, and Bai Zhenzhen's was also 1 million, representing the amount of medical insurance they had in the next arena match. This was the amount of medical insurance provided by Deng Bingding and the other examiner righteous gods for the 5 candidates in the martial arts exam. In today's martial arts exam, all candidates would have this amount of 1 million medical insurance provided by the righteous gods, and it would be reset before each arena match. And in the process of fighting in the arena battle, every injury and every wound of both candidates would be instantly healed by the divine array arranged on the arena, and the medical insurance amount would be consumed. That is to say, as long as the 1 million medical insurance amount of either side fighting in the arena is not exhausted in each game, they will always be in the peak state of their bodies. Once the medical insurance amount of either side in the battle is consumed to 0, then they will lose the arena. If a contestant is knocked down or knocked unconscious, although they will be healed immediately, it will be judged as a loss, just like being knocked out of the arena. During this period, each arena match lasts a total of 10 minutes. If the winner is not determined after 10 minutes, then the contestant with the higher medical insurance balance will win. At this moment, Dai Xingji looked at Bai Zhenzhen, and a trace of fighting spirit appeared in his eyes. As a genius from the inner 6 rings of the 5th floor of Immortal Metropolis, Dai Xingji had always looked down on any outsiders. But Bai Zhenzhen in front of him was an exception. On the one hand, it was because the other party's performance in the last foundation establishment exam was remarkable. On the other hand, it was because the other party had successively defeated 2 opponents in the previous consecutive arena battles. Dai Xingji thought to himself, this woman has already defeated all the candidates except me and Yanjing. Considering that Yanjing will definitely take the first place, then the outcome between me and her will determine who is second. Although even if he took second place, Dai Xingji didn't think he could defeat Yanjing in the next round of the Foundation Establishment exam and snatch the Foundation Establishment qualification certificate. But Dai Xingji was sure that if he took second place, the reward for the next round of the exam would definitely be more generous. Judging from the previous battles, this woman is very fast, and her fighting style tends to use high-speed sword techniques. Dai Xingji had always been very confident in his speed. If you want to say why, then it's naturally to save money. Although he was a Immortal Metropolis young master, money was never enough for Dai Xingji. Therefore, when choosing the direction of martial arts cultivation, compared to those strength-based and horizontal training types that consumed a lot of medical expenses, in the actual combat direction, Dai Xingji chose the speed type, especially specializing in evasion. This was both his own choice and the inheritance of the family. Dodge first when encountering a battle, run if you can't dodge, exhaust if you can't run, not getting injured is better than not losing, if you lose you can come again, if you are poor it will be difficult to turn over. This is the idea passed down from generation to generation of the Dai family. So in order to avoid injury in battle after battle, the first martial art Dai Xingji learned was footwork. And in order to improve his sensitivity in battle, and improve his dodging skills, the private sparring partners he hired were almost all speed-type martial arts masters. And things like dodging hidden weapons, sneak attacks, and group attacks were all his daily training projects. So in the previous 3 arena matches, his medical insurance amount had always been the least consumed. He didn't even consume a single medical insurance amount in the battle with Yanjing, because he directly chose to admit defeat. Because Dai Xingji realized, one thing, if you are hit with an injury that 1 million can't heal, then you will have to enter the next arena with an injury. So facing Yinjing, I will lose anyway. It's better to just admit defeat, so as not to affect the next game. Now as long as I win this woman, I will be the second place. With the righteous god's call, Dai Xingji and Bai Zhenjin walked onto the arena together. And with each step, a phantom image appeared around Dai Xingji's body, and his whole body became more and more erratic, as if he had turned into several clones, advancing and retreating together. But what surprised Dai Xingji was that Bai Zhenjin sat down on the spot after walking onto the arena, as if she had no intention of making a move at all. This woman. Dai Xingji's figure flashed around Bai Zhenjin, but found that the other party didn't even look at him. Just then, Bai Zhenjin said, "You people from Immortal Metropolis are just lucky to have been born in Immortal Metropolis. You can get into college by studying casually. If you were in our place, I don't think you could even get into high school." Hearing Bai Zhenjin's words, Dai Xingji raised an eyebrow and said coldly, "Oh? You think the competition in Xiandu is simpler than in other places? Otherwise," Bai Zhenjin said as a matter of course, "Xiandu has far more university slots each year than any other city, right? If we have to fight 100 to get into university, then you only have to fight 10, or even 3. If the slots weren't allocated by city, and all the students in Kongshu's first layer directly competed for them, you Xiandu people would have had your slots snatched away long ago." Dai Xingji chuckled and said, "Naive idea. Immortal cultivation potential is all about money, and Xiandu is the wealthiest city in the entire Kongshu first layer. The resources here far surpass those of your small places. No matter what we compete in, we will inevitably have an absolute advantage." A trace of Xiandu people's arrogance appeared on Dai Xingji's face, and he said, "If the entire first layer really had unified admissions, then every high school student in Xiandu city would be able to get into university, even snatching all the slots in the top 10. Bai Zhenjin snorted and said, "You're quite proud, but your accent doesn't sound like a native Xiandu person. You weren't born in Xiandu, were you? Or were your dad or grandpa from out of town?" At the same time, some Xiandu high school students under the arena smiled slightly when they heard this, but quickly suppressed it. They just looked at Bai Zhenjin with a hint of surprise, as if they didn't expect this out-of-town woman to be able to hear the difference between Dai Xingji's accent and theirs. Hearing the other party call his family out-of-towners and mention the so-called accent, a trace of red flashed across Dai Xingji's face, and he said angrily, "I was born in Xiandu. You're the out-of-towner." With a flash of his figure, he shot out with a series of after-images. The after-images and his real body were mixed together, surrounding and attacking Bai Zhenjin from 4 directions. Although Dai Xingji's face showed a look of anger, his heart was extremely calm and composed. How could I fall for such a simple provocation? Sneak attacks, provocations, insults. As a Xiandu high school student, Dai Xingji had been tested and trained in these basic and extremely important combat skills for a long time. He had even taken specialized courses such as how to discriminate against out-of-towners and 3 sentences to make out-of-towners break down, mastering many tactics to target out-of-towners and gain an advantage in battles against them. After all, Xiandu people have a unique advantage in enraging out-of-towners. In Dai Xingji's opinion, such talent was simply essential to master. Therefore, after Bai Zhenjin opened her mouth and said a few words, Dai Xingji understood her strategy. "You want to anger me? Then I'll pretend to be angered by you." With a flicker of his figure, Dai Xingji had already slammed a palm towards Bai Zhenjin's head. At this moment, he looked flushed, with anger in his eyes, appearing to be furious. The palm technique he used seemed full of flaws. However, Dai Xingji's mind was extremely clear at this moment. The palm that seemed to be struck out in anger actually had very little mana, and all the power in his body was accumulated within, waiting for a real explosion. He was absolutely confident that as long as Bai Zhenjin attacked the flaw he deliberately revealed in his palm technique, she would definitely be severely injured by his follow-up move. At the same time, his legs were secretly gathering strength. As long as something went wrong, he would retreat at full speed. Always keeping a backup plan and avoiding injuries at all times was the philosophy that had been passed down through generations of his Dai family, allowing them to gain a foothold in Xiandu. Bang! To Dai Xingji's astonishment, Bai Zhenjin slightly tilted her head and actually took his palm head-on with her shoulder, completely disrupting his subsequent opportunities. It was in this moment of Dai Xingji's slight astonishment, that he saw the desperate fighting spirit in Bai Zhenjian's eyes. From the moment she stepped onto the arena, Bai Zhenjian had been observing Dai Xingji, observing his movements, observing his battles, observing his temperament and habits. Because like Dai Xingji, Bai Zhenjian also realized that the other party was the biggest opponent in this fight for the top two. Through continuous observation, Bai Zhenjian realized that the other party was a cautious person with extremely high attainments in lightness, skill, and footwork. His speed was not inferior to her own. After all, he's a Xiong elite who has already entered his third year of high school. Not only is his physical strength above mine, but the techniques he has mastered, apart from the myriad swords without end, are probably mostly stronger than mine. If I fight him with all my strength, my chances of winning are at most only 30 to 40%. I must target his weaknesses and drag the battlefield into the area where I excel. This guy is so cautious and so good at avoiding injuries, which means he probably isn't good at fighting desperately. Bai Zhenjian was very clear that for her, the 1 million medical insurance was already too much, but for a rich person like the Xiong elite, the amount of 1 million medical insurance was too little, even making them feel insecure. What's more, these rich people are inherently afraid of fighting desperately. Unlike her, a poor ghost, who often has to rely on fighting desperately to earn some things that rich people can easily obtain. So, she deliberately angered the other party, and deliberately took the other party's moves head-on, hoping to find an opportunity to fight close and desperately. It's just that she didn't expect the other party to be even more cautious than she had imagined. The palm that seemed to be struck out in anger, just now, was actually a feint. But it doesn't matter. At this moment, with their eyes facing each other at close range, Bai Zhenjian's eyes, filled with raging fighting spirit and lightning, had only one target. Use the strongest, fastest, and fiercest sword that stakes all her strength to strike out, and see whether the other party runs out of medical insurance first, or she runs out of medical insurance first. Since stepping onto the stage, Bai Zhenjian had been accumulating mana, with the expert-level breathing technique, the Surging Waves 9 Revolutions accumulation method. This Surging Waves 9 Revolutions emphasizes continuous life. After 9 revolutions of mana, it can attract more mana. It is a technique where the longer the breathing, the stronger the effect. During her last foundation establishment exam, the Surging Waves 9 Revolutions made a miraculous contribution. At this moment, after 9 consecutive revolutions of mana, it exploded like a spring stretched to its limit. The techniques deduced by the True Spirit root also erupted in an instant. In the past few months, Bai Zhenjian had used the True Spirit root to deduce almost all the techniques she had mastered, giving the techniques a more powerful and suitable level 10 effect. And these level 10 effects are all related to speed. Bai Zhenjian believes that even if her techniques are not as expensive as the other parties, after repeated deductions, they are definitely the most suitable for her cultivation and combat methods. At this moment, the lightning step was running at full power, and strands of thunder mana ran through her nerves, muscles, and meridians, and under the effect of the level 10 deduction, it frantically accelerated the speed of Bai Zhenjian's sword. The expert-level combat technique, the formless sword technique, allowed her sword intent to stir the air before the sword was drawn, forming electric fields and reducing the air resistance she would receive next. The cold slice heart technique, under the pressure of failure at this moment of desperation, made Bai Zhenjian's thinking calm to the extreme, and the mana and muscles in her body were also active to the extreme. And the thunder mana that ran through her body inside and out continued to accelerate everything. Accelerate. Accelerate again. On the other side, although Dai Xingji was stunned for a moment, feeling Bai Zhenjian's amazing fighting spirit and the momentum of her sword, he quickly reacted. He stirred up a storm with one foot, and his right leg seemed to disappear at this moment, leaving only the surging energy slamming towards Bai Zhenjian's dantian. Both sides were fighting fast with fast, and the exchange was about to be completed in an instant. However, in the eyes of the surrounding true gods, this moment could be very slow in their observation, so slow that they could see Dai Xingji's ferocious face, see Bai Zhenjian's hair standing on end stimulated by the thunder mana, see the flashing of electricity and wind in the air. Even in this moment, the true gods could complete various exchanges in the internal network. Huang Ziku looked at this scene and sighed, I didn't expect these two people to be so fast. They're going to decide the winner in one move. I originally thought these two would rely on their respective speeds to fight for a full 10 minutes. Another true god looked at the two sides fighting at this moment, and analyzed. In this moment of close combat, facing the enemy's all-out attack, what is tested is everyone's most genuine reaction from the bottom of their hearts. Huang Zichu's gaze swept over the sword finger that Bai Zhenjin stabbed out, and the body-breaking sword energy containing thunder mana. He could feel the unreserved nature of this sword, and the courage to live towards death, betting everything. Then he looked at Dai Xingji on the other side, looking at the storm that his leg kicked up and the fully erupted muscles. But, Huang Ziku said, although Dai Xingji also exerted all his strength, perhaps it was because of the habits he had developed in the past, perhaps it was an instinctive aversion to injury, or perhaps it was a subconscious reservation. The accumulation of these little things in peacetime ultimately made him subconsciously retain some strength at this moment, in this most genuine reaction, failing to truly exhaust everything. Just when the true gods were communicating at high speed, in the internal network. Boom. The strong wind overflowed, and the electric light flashed. Bai Zhenjin and Dai Xingji had already completed their shots. In a loud noise, Bai Zhenjin had already flown out, vomiting a large mouthful of blood, mixed with fragments of internal organs. But Dai Xingji on the other side, was clutching the big hole in his chest, watching the wound constantly heal under the action of divine power. At the same time, the amount of medical insurance above Dai Xingji and Bai Zhenjin's heads began to decrease sharply, and in the blink of an eye, they all returned to zero.